So I wanted to go ahead and show you guys a chat room. This is a webcam based chat room, and it kind of explores the idea of de-individuation, and that's going to be defined as a loss of self-awareness and individual accountability in a group. And this concept kind of explains trolling in a way that happens online. So a lot of these people start saying mean things to maybe one of the webcammers, then everybody kind of joins in to be a part of the in-group. And this phenomenon happens the other way too, when someone starts being nice and praising one of the cammers. Everyone else will too. It's kind of how people choose favorites and how people become targets. This often happens in groups to make the individual kind of fit in. I would even consider it socially adaptive. I believe that being aware of this type of phenomenon can help us avoid this behavior in order to portray a more authentic self to others. I think that the degree of anonymity influences de-individuation. I find that it's easier to develop a group or mob mentality online, and that anonymity explains a lot of the violent or manipulative behaviors that people engage in online. Not to mention that in a group like this, the mere presence of others causes us to act out in order to be noticed, which incidentally can end up influencing the whole group. And this guy's just going to town on these bongos. I think that stereotyping is also relevant when talking about chat-based groups. It's easier to submit to a stereotype and use that stereotype to interact with others instead of showing your authentic self. And this is where you can get a lot of problems. Because with the combination of engaging in stereotypical behavior and de-individuation and anonymity, you end up hurting others and maybe even putting yourself in a position where you can hurt yourself, or even skew your reality if you spend too much time in these kinds of roles.
I don't know about you guys, but whenever I think about playing games online with anonymous strangers, I imagine this hateful environment. Yet when I decided to rob a virtual bank with 3 other strangers, my experience with them was overall boring, never hateful, and barely cooperative. Basically what happened was that when the game started, 2 out of the 4 of us verbally assigned self roles. Alright, let's tie everyone in the bank up. And then we went our separate ways. Although before we actually played the game, I started up a conversation with this Omega guy on the mechanics of the game.
Question, how many baseball bats have they added to the game?
I thought 2.
Yeah, I think one for like Hotline Miami and then another for Walking Dead.
All anyone needs to know about RuneScape for this video is that a bunch of people play this game simultaneously. With a community like this, I decided to try a little experiment where I would stand in a somewhat populated spot and say hello at 5 different time periods, waiting for a response. 3 out of the 5 times I got no response after a minute of waiting. 1 out of 5 times I got a dude who said sup back and nothing more. And finally I got a guy who said hi back, but then proceeded to ask me for in-game money, which I declined. I performed another experiment where I tweeted at people on Twitter and wrote comments on YouTube videos in the hopes that I would get a response. I got exactly one response on a comment I made about the shepherd's pie featured in this video. My comment was, it looked like some chef thought that shepherd's pie was basically chicken pot pie, and instead of having like a cream or a crust to cover the inside, they used wet potatoes. Coming from an American who has not eaten a shepherd's pie but has heard loads from Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, their comment was,
it's just mince onion, gravy, mushrooms etc. optional, with mash on top. It's not hard to make.
I did a final experiment on a guy named Jake who was live streaming a game with a few people and myself watching. Jake said,
I had the microphone muted earlier, but it's I don't think it is now. I don't know. If they respond to this, then it's not muted.
I replied with, no Jake, we can't hear you. Jake replied to my comment with,
Oh no, it's not on. This guy says, no Jake, we can't hear you. Even though I never asked anybody if the microphone was on in bets, so clearly he's a truth teller.
Yeah.
these experiments have taught me much, such as how to make shepherd's pie. Conversing with people while playing games is multitasking, which I'm not good at. Even when I lie, I'm a truth teller. And that talking to people online and hoping for a response is a road that leads to loneliness.